you see this a ton, right? As you also like start growing the business, the fact that like sometimes you gotta get rid of the stuff that has led you up to that point, like certain routines or certain structures. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the art of e-commerce, actually. Sorry. Let's go right into it, man. How you been?
I've been good. But I have picked up on one thing. You really just won't stop going on about that 100K month, won't you? It's videos, it's on Instagram, on YouTube.
I'm gonna be on people's faces, man. Because I say it's one of those milestones that, you know, when you hit, you're like, shit. This was like, I mean, it wasn't even something that I even thought about when I started my business. You know, started thinking about that goal, quote unquote, probably like towards the end of last year. I was like, shit, you know, it'd be dope if one of my businesses, my agency, did 100K a month next year, and you know, we've been able to do it like May. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, man, it's kind of, you know, it's one of those things that when you hit, you're like, oh shit, I actually did this. And that's really why I cannot stop thinking, you know, talking about it, especially because it's been the journey, man. And I feel like people cannot quite grasp how, you know, the strides that you can make in a short span of time. And also, I feel like it's a figure that a lot of people just see as unattainable. And I'm not saying it's an easy task, right? I'm not saying it's an easy task, but it's definitely doable. It's definitely achievable.
100%, man. I mean, you said a lot of people don't see it as attainable, and to be honest, the number that gets flouted around in the space a lot is 6 figures for the year.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, as anyone who starts their journey from zero and builds up, you also had your time where you first reach your 6-figure year, like or at least a 5-figure month, right? Between the person you were there to get to the point you're at now, if you had to give yourself, I don't know, a few pieces of advice as to how you would go on to take that next step, go to that next level,
yeah,
what would some of those be?
Between the 6-figure and the 100K per month mark, right?
Yeah.
It comes down to, I mean, we can talk about more, you know, the agency specific side of things, but when it comes to a personal level side of things, it comes down to giving up control. A lot of it comes down to giving up control and hiring really solid talent. So a lot of my time in the past few months has been spent on, one, building better systems. So just wrecking my brain as to, you know, how to optimize certain systems, you know, different sales funnels that I had in place for my business that got me to a 6-figure mark. How can I take this and completely transform it, completely optimize it, so as to make it more streamlined and to get more input into it, and essentially to get more throughput, right? And finally get more output out of it. So it's been that, and then how can I engineer the team in a way that it's just an A team, you know? So I've been thinking a lot about team culture, even, you know, what do people do when I'm not looking, and what are some of the pieces that I'm lacking within my team that are going to be able to, you know, that are going to allow me to go faster. One of the best hires I've made, see you as well, a part of my team, as well as my brother, you know, like those have been key players in my team, and my brother was kind of like a decision that I made later, you know, last year. So it's been almost a year since I talked to him about the whole idea of us working together at the agency, and you know, it's been a year, and you know, that relationship, that business relationship has matured, and we've kind of found our, you know, found our you know, what we're great at, and some things that we can focus on, and it's been great. And I took a bit of a gamble when I made that decision. I've been told plenty of times to not mix family with business, and to an extent I agree with that, but one of the things that I think we did well was set expectations clearly, set boundaries, and when you do that, I think it can lead to a fruitful relationship. So yeah, taking bold decisions like that, and thinking, how can I make this bigger than myself, really?
In terms of who you are as a person, right? The way you view yourself, right? Like, forget everyone else, forget like social media, the YouTubes of this world. Like, in terms of your own self-perception, who you were when you were hitting the 100K a year compared to the 100K month?
Dude, the crazy thing is, I think I'm more humble. Funnily enough, you know, I think when I started making money, I was never a flash. Like I was never into the flashy stuff. I've always been pretty low key, but there's always kind of like a certain underlying energy where you need to prove to people or get people's approval from the accomplishments you're getting, right? Especially because you're just starting out, and maybe like a few months ago you were stuck in college and doing nothing with your life, right? And now you're making 6 figures a year, and it's not like I was telling everyone, but I just let them know, right? That I was doing doing decently okay, you know. I'll whatever, right? Now I'm much more humble. Like I don't really care for, you know, telling people how much I make, only to my 50K YouTube audience and to my TikTok audience. But that's how I see it. You know, funny enough, I think I don't really think about that figure. I just think about growth and building cool shit. And that's one of the things that I'm proud of, is the fact that like I'm not really obsessed over the figure. Yes, it's cool, right, to hit the goal, and I've always been a pretty goal oriented person. I'm like, cool, let's just build more shit. Let's just start a podcast. Let's just build an e-com brand. Let's just like, you know, partner up with brands on TikTok as well, and a bunch of, you know, let's launch a sister agency, which I'm gonna be launching. Yeah. That's kind of like my goal.
Awesome. And I mean, you touched on it there as well, but like when you're speaking to other people, when you meet someone new, and I mean maybe more so now than back then, but like when someone asks, what do you do? Where do you go? Do you go down a rabbit hole where you just explain all this stuff and how much you're doing and the different clients you're working with, or do you play it low key? Like a lot
depends on who the person is, right? I mean, if someone asks you like, what do you do, and they're a client, a prospect, right? You have a clear mission as an e-com agency, I'm guessing, right? So if it's a prospect, I'll tell them exactly and maybe the post, the results and all that stuff. But if it's someone that I mean, I don't really know, like, dude, I really could not care less. Like I think it's actually pretty cool to like be low key. And that's kind of the way I see like money. I you know, luxury has never really attracted me. I obviously like living in cool places, but the main thing for me is experiences, because that's at the end of the day, that's what I'm gonna take with me, and also sharing it with people, you know, and seeing the whole squad win. That's big for me as well. So yeah, that's kind of my take with money. Like I don't really care about what other people may think of what I do, or in fact, I think if you don't, then you guard yourself against people that may take advantage. I'm not saying that there's a lot of people that will, but there's a certain percentage of people that when they hear how much you make, or when you hear you're making like specific moves, like it'll change your perception of, you know, that will change your perception of you know, how they view you, essentially, right? And I want them to view me for who I am, not what I have or what I've achieved.
Absolutely. No, that's massive. That's really massive. But I mean, jumping off the point of what you achieved, you know, your agency now at over 100,000 a month. You know, I mean, you just casually name drop the sister agency you're planning on starting out. But like, what's the future trend of that? Where's that looking? Yeah. Like, where do you envision yourself taking the agency now?
Yeah, I mean, so you know this, right? There's different stages to the e-com agency journey, and I've mentioned it as well in my YouTube videos. The fact that it's very clear, right? We've got a niche e-com agency, and then you can you know, graduate into more of a broad e-com agency, and then into an e-com accelerator stage where you're taking equity in brands and you're building your own brands, and that's, you know, where I'm currently sitting. You know, building my own e-com brands, but as well as, you know, have large percentage of either profit with my clients or a few deals with equity, right? So just getting I think that there's so much potential still, you know, for the e-com accelerator, and that's one of the things that I'm so bullish on. It's like the fact that this e-com agency model allows you to take like different steps, right? And gives you almost unlimited scalability. You can take it to 1 million a month, right? And 100%, that's our plan, you know, like with our own brand, which technically is under our e-com accelerator, because that's like the whole team, right? The brands that we take, the brands that we're gonna take equity in, the percentage of ad profits that grow month on month, right? I generally think that $1 million a month mark is very doable. The sister or the kind of the other agency within the umbrella is probably going to be more on the branding side of things. I don't want to reveal too much because I do want to keep that kind of like low key until it's done. But on the branding side of things and more of the not as much revenue generating activities, but really just important, and we can maybe collaborate in certain projects. Ecom, which is my current agency and rebranded from Mogul C, doing the paid ads, all that stuff, and this other agency like doing the brand side of things and the even a bit of social media management or strategy side of things. Just proving to people that it doesn't have to be paid ads. Like that's my one of the goals with this agency. The fact that like we're gonna get it to a really solid level, a level where most people would say, oh, that's this type of service is not scalable. Well, I want to prove to people, right, that like you can actually build a widely successful agency as well with the branding component, and not so much paid ads, which again, it's an incredible service still, but just giving people more options,
Absolutely. No, for sure. And I think that's a very big thing, because you mentioned like you don't have to make it paid ads. I mean, one of the things you say as well is like, okay, you want to be a Facebook ads agency, cool, get in the queue.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's thousands others trying to do the same. And I guess that kind of leads to the topic of like saturation, how you diversify and how you niche down, right? But I don't know, like within that topic generally, either saturation or diversifying, or even within what you're doing with the branding, is there anything you want to expand on that in that sense?
Oh, diversifying, and I mean the main thing is I would never recommend someone to like diversify agencies and services at the start. Like if you're not making probably like 50K a month, don't even think about it. I think you can scale the agency to 50K per month and just one single service and that's it, right? But the main thing is not even about the service. Like I feel like a lot of people just like their service is their agency offering. Like that's not how we do things, right? Like our agency is based around our irresistible offer. And so the reason why these agencies that we build and the mentees build succeed is because they have an irresistible offer within a specific space. It's not about the service, right? It could be any service, for that matter. It's about a specific, solving a specific problem for a specific group of people within the e-com space. And as long as you're doing that, and as long as you make them more money and help them grow, that's it, So that's kind of my take on diversifying. Don't diversify. It's actually good to put all your eggs in one basket when you're starting out.
No, good stuff. I think that's a very wide wrap within your journey so far. And I mean, in terms of how you see yourself growing and developing, you said you've grown more humble now. You're starting to see the world through different set of eyes, with more empathy, more of a wider vision on things. How do you see that growing? How do you see your own personal growth alongside the agency growth?
I think they're correlated, right? I mean, don't you feel like especially when you're starting your business, right? Like literally every single stride that you make in your personal life reflects in your business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how I see it. Like if you grow, the business is going to grow. And your personal, if you experience certain personal problems, like for example, you're not organized or you're lazy, like that's going to reflect in your business at the end of the day, right? So kind of understanding that and understanding that it's in direct correlation, and understanding and you probably, I mean, you see this a ton, right? As you also like start growing the business, the fact that like sometimes you gotta get rid of the stuff that has led you up to that point, like certain routines or certain structures. Like you don't want to keep that rigid, because like that won't get what got you to that certain level won't get you to the next, right? So if you're doing like I mean whatever, like meditation at this certain time, right? Maybe it's like a complete different thing that you need to scale to a different level or to grow, and even though that thing may still be beneficial, now it's not serving the purpose.
And how would you recommend for like beginner entrepreneurs or for people really looking to take that next step to go on? How would you recommend finding out like what works for you?
Trying a bunch of shit, Like, how much have you tried in your morning routine until you had that winning formula?
A lot.
Yeah.
But having said that, I still know that, you know, in a year's time, my morning routine will probably look completely different to what it does now, right? But yeah, just listening to different people, trying different things for yourself, knowing that what works for you won't necessarily work for me.
Yeah.
And building off of that, right?
I think that's massive, man. Like the fact that people need to realize that a mentor is massive, right? Like having someone that you follow, someone that can teach you, someone that can pass you on the knowledge, someone that has done it, right? And can you know, you can shadow. It's massive. But at the end of the day, you also have to have that independent thinking. You know, I would never want, you know, it's been recent, you know, well, recent. It's an understatement, but you know, getting into the coaching space and coaching others, which makes me, I'm so passionate about, right? But at the same time, I don't want people to like take everything word by word, because like that robs you of your creative thinking, of your, you know, freedom as a, you know, different people have different strengths and weaknesses, right? There's certain things that you're much better at than me, you know. But when you fixate so much on the, I need to do the, you know, the exact thing, right? Which is really big in the personal development space. Like, you know, if you listen, you know, if you read any like Tony Robbins book, like the main thing is you literally mirror, you know, like you take something that someone is doing and you literally mirror the whole thing. But I think when you do that, it actually slows you down in many ways. It can get you to a certain point, don't get me wrong. Obviously, if it's worked for someone, it can work for you, right? But maybe not in the same approach, or there's maybe little nuances or different subtle things that you can have, like you can take on as a different approach, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And it is just having that constant student mindset, right? Because even you at the point you're at now, I'm sure you could, you know, look to someone and take some inspiration from what they're doing and what they're saying, and applying that and seeing differences in your own life, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back to the point originally you made of like humility and you know, growing in that sense lately, just being able to take a step back, assess things objectively, and, you know, react logically to what needs to be done, right?
100%, man.
All right, yeah, but that brings us to a wrap. Solid episode today,
and a pleasure, brother. I think we touched on a bunch of topics, but I think that was fun.
Absolutely.
Let's do it again, man.
Enjoyed it. Let's do it again.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Until next time.